It's just an ostrich. His voice carried over the plain, dry and dismissive. The ostrich's wings flailed against the jagged edges of a shallow ditch, its claws scraping the hard earth. Dust and sweat coated its beak as it struggled, and with every attempt to free itself, the creature only sank further, its calls growing more desperate. Nearby, a small crowd of onlookers had gathered, some curious, most indifferent. A father tried to keep his children calm, whispering, "It's okay, let's just go. Animals like this can be dangerous." But one figure moved differently from the rest. A woman stepped carefully through the grass, her boots crunching softly on the dry soil. Her name was Clara Donovan, a volunteer with the Wildlife Rescue Unit, known for taking risks others wouldn't. She paused, scanning the scene with trained eyes, noticing subtle injuries on the ostrich's legs, the strain in its neck, the fear mirrored in its dark eyes. "Someone needs to help it," she murmured to herself, clutching the straps of her backpack tightly. Her voice carried a quiet determination that set her apart from the hesitant murmurs around her. She approached slowly, raising her hands in a gesture meant to soothe, not frighten. A few men chuckled, whispering, "Who does she think she is? That bird will kick her if she gets too close." Another voice, slightly more cautious, added, "It's faster than it looks. You can't just walk up and grab it." Clara didn't reply. She could feel the ostrich's panic radiating like heat from the ground. She knew that any sudden movement could send it into a dangerous frenzy. Her mind raced, recalling techniques that she had practiced countless times in wildlife emergencies. She crouched slightly, keeping her profile low, letting her calm presence speak louder than any words. The ostrich's flapping wings sent a small cloud of dust into the air, shimmering gold in the late afternoon sunlight. A young tourist took a step too close, and the bird flinched violently, claws scraping dangerously. "Watch out!" Clara shouted, her voice sharp yet controlled. The crowd froze. For a moment, the ostrich's gaze shifted toward her, and she held eye contact, steady, unwavering. A distant rumble of thunder began to roll across the horizon, unnoticed by most, but it heightened the tension, making the already tense scene feel like the opening act of some epic, silent battle. The people began murmuring amongst themselves, voices rising. Some urged caution, others mocked her attempt. "It's hopeless," one man sneered. "You can't just tame it like some pet." Clara's heart raced. She could almost hear the ostrich's thoughts, the raw panic, the confusion. She knew she had to act quickly before it injured itself further. Her hands itched to move, to reach into her bag for the restraint tools she had carried for emergencies like this. Then, a sudden misstep. One of the onlookers moved too close. The ostrich lashed out with a powerful kick. A sharp, angry cry cut through the air, and a boy stumbled back, clutching his leg. Panic rippled through the crowd like a wave. "I told you! I told you!" someone shouted. Parents grabbed their children, stepping back in alarm. The ostrich's eyes were wide with fear, its body trembling. And then, a quiet, almost imperceptible moment of stillness. Clara froze too, sensing that the animal's survival instincts had shifted from panic to readiness. She whispered, more to herself than anyone else, "Okay, you and me, we're going to get through this." From her backpack she retrieved a long, flexible net, designed to safely immobilize wildlife without harm. Her hands moved methodically, with a precision born of years of training. She crouched low, approaching the ostrich in slow, calculated steps. The crowd held their breath, some scoffing, some genuinely fearful, all captivated. A few more cautious voices tried to intervene, suggesting that someone call the authorities. "Isn't there a ranger nearby? A vet?" Clara shook her head, her eyes never leaving the ostrich. "No time. It's now or never," she murmured. The words barely escaped her lips, carried by a calm authority that seemed to momentarily quiet the murmurs of the onlookers. As she closed the distance, the ostrich's flapping grew frantic again, wings slicing the air. The setting sun painted long shadows, exaggerating every motion into a tense cinematic scene. Clara's mind raced through strategies: how to distract it, how to gently secure its wings, how to make sure no one, including herself, was harmed. Suddenly, a twist of fate, the ostrich backed toward a patch of thorny bushes, the ground uneven, a shallow pool nearby. The potential for disaster was immediate. The crowd gasped, some screaming, others frozen in shock. Clara's heart pounded, and she tightened her grip on the net. In that split second, she knew she had to reveal her full skill, her experience, or the moment could turn tragic. She took a deep breath, muttered a code phrase only a fellow rescuer would recognize. Call sign Echo. It was a signal, not to the crowd, but to herself. A reminder of every rescue she had ever pulled off, every life saved when others turned away. The ostrich froze slightly, instinctively responding to the calm, precise movements. Clara's eyes softened, and her voice dropped to a low, soothing tone. And then, the tension escalated once more. A sudden rustle in the tall grass hinted at a predator, or maybe just another bystander stumbling into the scene. The ostrich jerked violently, nearly tipping into the shallow ditch. The air was thick with anticipation. Every person present could feel it. The moment was delicate, fragile, teetering on disaster. Clara stepped closer, her breathing measured. Her mind worked in overdrive, calculating angles, anticipating the ostrich's reactions, preparing for the delicate balance of courage and caution needed to prevent catastrophe. The sun dipped lower, casting a fiery glow over the savannah, and the scene felt almost suspended in time, poised on the edge of tension and resolution. For a brief, electrifying moment, it seemed as if the ostrich and Clara existed in a world entirely separate from the murmuring crowd, the rustling grass, the distant thunder. Only the rhythm of fear, determination, and hope remained, entwined, unyielding. Clara's heart pounded as she crouched closer, the ostrich's eyes wild with fear, every muscle in its body trembling. The thorny bushes loomed dangerously, and the shallow pool nearby reflected the fiery sunset, turning the whole scene into a shimmering, perilous arena. She whispered softly, "It's okay. I'm here. Trust me." The crowd had fallen into uneasy silence, some holding their breath, others stepping back in awe. For a brief moment, the ostrich froze, sensing the sincerity in Clara's movements. She raised the net carefully, her hands steady despite the adrenaline surging through her veins. One misstep, and the bird could panic, injuring itself or anyone nearby. Then, with a sudden flurry, the ostrich lunged toward the shallow pool, claws scraping against the dry earth. Clara reacted instinctively, sidestepping, letting the bird expend its fear while keeping herself safe. She murmured under her breath, a quiet mantra she had repeated in countless rescues. Slow, calm, precise. And that's when the authorities arrived. A jeep kicked up dust as Ranger Mitchell and Dr. Alana Rivers, a wildlife vet, sprinted toward the scene. Their presence was like a lifeline to the onlookers, who now stepped back in relief. Clara nodded briefly at them, still keeping the ostrich in her sights. She didn't need their help yet, but their backup would ensure nothing went wrong. "Stay calm, everyone," Dr. Rivers instructed, kneeling slightly to appear less threatening. "This bird is scared, not aggressive. Give it space." The crowd hesitated, but obeyed, and the tension in the air thickened as silence returned, broken only by the rustle of grass and the bird's frantic breaths. Clara's eyes softened. She could see the minor abrasions on the ostrich's legs, the dust-covered feathers sticking at odd angles. She moved slowly, gently tossing a piece of fruit near the edge of the net to lure the bird closer. The ostrich pecked cautiously, eyes flicking to her, then back at the open space. It was a delicate dance, fear, patience, and trust interwoven. Every step Clara took was calculated, every word meant to calm. Finally, after tense minutes that felt like hours, the ostrich edged toward her, wings trembling but body steadying. With one precise motion, Clara threw the net over the bird's wings, immobilizing it safely. The crowd gasped, some cheering, others just exhaling in relief. Dr. Rivers approached, checking the ostrich quickly. "Legs are scraped, but nothing serious. You've done well," she said, giving Clara a nod of respect. Ranger Mitchell added, "I've seen a lot, but that was brave and smart. You saved it." The ostrich, once panicked and frantic, now huddled calmly in the net, its breathing slowing. Clara crouched beside it, whispering softly, "You're safe now. No one's leaving you behind." She stroked its neck gently, feeling the tension drain away, replaced by a fragile trust. The crowd began to murmur apologies, some awkward, some heartfelt. "I shouldn't have doubted you," a young man said quietly. Another added, "We didn't know what to do. Thank you for stepping in." Clara shook her head, smiling faintly. Compassion is louder than fear, always, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the savannah in a warm golden glow. The ostrich was carefully lifted into a transport crate by Dr. Rivers and Ranger Mitchell. Clara watched, her chest swelling with quiet pride. This was what mattered, not recognition, not applause, but life saved, trust earned, and a voice heard when others ignored it. Before leaving, Clara gave one last look at the savannah. The wind whispered through the grass, as if carrying gratitude from the wild itself. She turned to the departing crowd, her voice calm but firm. "Every creature deserves a chance. Every life matters. If we ignore them, who will speak for the voiceless us?" And in that moment, the savannah seemed to hold its breath, a reminder that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it walks quietly among us, in a woman willing to step forward when the world steps back. The ostrich's frantic cries had turned into soft, cautious coos of relief, and Clara Donovan, the woman who had chosen action over indifference, had proven that one brave heart could echo across even the vastest wilderness.